This is in response to Billy's Talking Points memo from Thursday, August 3rd, 2015, the changing Republican Party. Now, what Billy is talking about is the fact that there are two frontrunners, Trump and Carson, who together combine for 40 to 50% of the polling right now as it stands, depending on what polls you're looking at. The one he referred to last night, 27% for Trump, 13% for Carson, and everyone else is way, way down there. All these senators, all these congressmen, all these governors, ex-governors, they ain't getting squat compared to these two guys. And the question is, what's going on? You know, Iowa's 5 months away. And what does it mean? Does it mean that there's a segment of the Republican Party that just is not ready to deal with elected officials anymore? And one of the reasons possibly is that there have been so many promises by the Republican Party about what they're going to do when they take office, in the sense that, the Republicans had the House and the Senate. Of course, they didn't have the presidency. They had most of the Supreme Court, but they didn't have it every time. And then a lot of things they couldn't do. And did they overbook themselves? Did they overcommit? Did they promise what was going to happen when they got into office or into that position of authority? And again, Iowa's only 5 months away. And I sort of look at this as this is a summer fling, where Republicans are all out there. Man, you guys just all suck big time. And, listen to Trump. Everything about him just commands attention. And he has a strut. He has I shouldn't say swagger, because they said that about Bush when he had that big, remember he had that big had that big belt on? It almost looked like a seatbelt, was so big. And he had his little hat on, and he had his thumbs in his pocket. But he has that look. And a very commanding look. He has a tremendous amount of self-assurance. And, but at the same time, what we're starting to see is that Trump is extremely uninformed. Even though he's very sharp about criticizing every single one of his opponents. He criticized Kareem Abdul-Jabbar the other day, big time. Here's the thing. To me, as someone who's never been, having the multi-billion-dollar deals that he has to do, is that's the act that he goes into all of these deals on, and he portrays that act, and he tries to bully every single one. I bet he bullies his staff to do whatever he wants them to do. They're all sycophants behind him, and they'll do whatever he wants to do. And that's the way it is for him. And he thinks he can do it that way every way. And because he's smooth, he's glib, he can get on TV and he can sound really great, but there's nothing behind it. Now, yesterday or the day before, he was on a guy's show named Hugh Hewitt, and was a little confused, not a big deal. But his response was, "I'm going to change the military so fast your head's going to spin." And he said that many, many times. And the thing is, if I was Hugh Hewitt, I think that's what the guy's name is, I would say, that's exactly what I want to hear. And that's exactly what I want you to do. But you have to tell me how you are going to do it specifically, so that I know that you're not talking out of your rectal cavity. Because if you're talking out of your rectal cavity, I'm not going to vote for you. So it all sounds good, Mr. Trumpy Bumpy, but if you can't back it up with something that shows that you know what the hell you're talking about the military, and how we're all going to make all this money in the economy, I'm not going to vote for you. So what are you going to do in reference to all of that? And of course, Billy brought up a couple of things about Carson. Carson is just as conservative. He talks very meekly. He comes along. There was a little bit in there about why Republicans normally don't particularly like blacks, so to speak. They don't like them in their party, but they accept a certain amount. I don't know where all that's going. I know that if you talk like a Republican, you're going to be accepted right away, no matter what skin color you have, because they know when someone is talking to them about what what is in their heart, so to speak. They know, what it is. And of course, Carson didn't get any headway until he was like 5 feet away from Obama and criticized the shit out of him in that prayer breakfast about 2 years ago. He wasn't getting anywhere. So those are the two top guys. Trump seems to be very uninformed. I think that's going to come and start hitting him real hard. Now, I've said this before, but we're into September, and a couple of days is going to be Labor Day, and then a whole hellhole of stuff is going to happen in the House and the Senate. A lot of stuff's got to get going. In spite of the fact that the Iran deal is basically going to be a done deal, there's going to be a lot of crap that's going to be coming up about that, because it is going to come up for a vote. And my point about all of this is there's going to be so much stuff going on in September that Trump cannot take the airwaves because he's not involved in any of this stuff. He can spout off some stuff, but all that other stuff is going to get the top headlines. The Iran deal is going to get the top headlines. The Export-Import Bank thing is going to get the top headlines. The trying to shut the government down from Planned Parenthood is going to get the headlines. If that doesn't work, they still are going to try and shut down the budget because of that. The Highway Trust Fund has got to get done in September. All those things have to happen in September, and they don't come back till September 8th. We also have the Pope here for a couple days, and he's going to talk to the House and Senate. And guess what? Some of those people, he might have a few things to say about what you would call redistribution when it comes to helping the poor, and also saving the climate, saving the world through climate because of climate change. So that can take up a little bit of time. Plus, there's 2 Jewish holidays, so there's a heck of a lot going on in September, and that's going to drown Trump. That's going to drown Carson, because they're not going to be the players. Now, remember, the 4 players that are only really involved in this right now are the current senators: Graham, Cruz, Rubio, and Rand Paul. They're going to be big on the Planned Parenthood thing. They're going to be big on shutting down the government. They're going to be big on not letting that budget go through with any money for Planned Parenthood. So a lot can happen then. But the point is, that stuff's going to drown out Trump and Carson. So I think there may be a rebirth that's coming in by the end of September. But Billy brings up a good point, is that these Republicans are so fed up with their elected officials not being conservative enough for them and get into office and stand up on your principles, because the way it sounds like these conservatives is that basically what they want is they want all of them to go to jail, just like that Kim Davis lady does, because that means they stand up on their principles. Maybe Cruz can go to jail, because I think he's the one that's the staunchest behind her. But yes, the Republican Party is changing, and guess what? It's not for the good.